Honorable members, Madam Speaker.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in infinite and prudential goodness have appointed of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with their don't favor these your servants, whom you've been pleased for the court to perform such important trust in this land. Let your blessing, the center play assembled, and grant that the may as in your presence, treat and consider all matter that shall come at their deliberation, is so just and fully manner promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their charge.
Item 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I want to welcome you to this afternoon sitting. Yesterday, members raised concerns on a number of issues, and we should be able to handle this today. And I equally raised an issue on persistent absenteeism by some members and ministers. Honorable members, as a presiding officer, I bear the responsibility and as the custodian of the rules of procedure, and that is under Rule 7 of the rules of procedure. All members are obligated to consistently attend Parliament. That's why you have voted in. When you're in Kampala, when you're here, I know you are supposed to be in the House, and you're supposed to be in the committees as prescribed in Part 17 of Rules of Procedure, and specifically Rule 112, 113, and 114. For us to be able to help you, we may need to use stick and carrot, because we want you to come back. We may need to do that as Parliament. You need to, if you're not going to be in the House, kindly just write to the Speaker and seek leave of absence. We'll always allow you to go where you want to be. So members, kindly attend the House. And if you're not able to attend the House, let us be informed of your other obligations that you have. We are all humans. So I will expect you to follow that. And I am happy the whip, as instructed yesterday, did what we told him to do. I want to thank you, Government Chief Whip. I'm still waiting for a copy from Opposition Whip on the action he has taken as per the instruction yesterday. We will continue to monitor attendance, and as I've said before, as we have said, when you're coming in, please log in, and when you're going out, do the same. You will be able to know whether you attended or you didn't attend. If you're not in the House, you know the attendance is always displayed. I heard in some radio, I think in a Soroti radio somewhere, where they were saying, but these members are always saying they are busy. When the list came from Parliament, they're also not in Parliament. So where are they? The voters are seeing what we are doing. When we see here, you see Alobo is seated there, she sits there. The voters will always want to see, is she there? You see that? Honorable members, as it has always been our tradition in sports, this year the East African sports will be hosted in Rwanda. I am happy with all other disciplines because they are already training. The only discipline that is not training is football. That one. And yet when it comes to facilitation, the way they want to be facilitated, this time, if you're not going to start training, we'll sign all the other disciplines and will not sign football. So if you love your parliament, you love your country and you want to defend your position, please go for training. I see Masaba here. When do you ever go for training? He doesn't. Today I went there to check. I did not get, I only got 3 members of parliament. I got Honorable Ogwang, I got Basa Alirwa, and I got Hassan. And Sanon. Those are the only ones who were there today. No, I didn't see you. So I want you to start the trainings. Honorable members, I would like to invoke the rule 25(1) of the rules of procedure and amend the order paper and accommodate designation by the government chief whip. And I wish you a nice deliberations. Yes. On communication. Yes. Enos.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move under Rule 1510C and Rule 187 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament that the Honorable Karobanga Jacob Atenyi MP Chibanda South County be designated to the Committee on Presidential Affairs. I beg to move.
Those in favor of the designation of Jacob to the committee say and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Enos.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You mentioned logging in and logging out, but the logout machine was disabled and it has never been returned. That's number one.
Pardon?
The logout machine was disabled and it has not been reinstalled. You mentioned logging in and out.
This one works. These machines don't know whether you're NRM or opposition. You can sign from any side.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Madam
Free
Speaker.
signing.
Okay. Number 2, Madam Speaker, I wanted to ask the front bench. They had mentioned of making some amendments in the electoral laws, because as much as you're pushing us to be in the House, we have competitors who have made it a habit to start campaigning now. And they're putting a lot of pressure on us that you cannot be in the House, be in the constituency, and have the two managed. Can the front bench bring the amendments to the electoral laws and we manage these situations? Because imagine starting campaigning 2 years ahead of.
You want to amend in the electoral laws?
There are so many
That people
things.
should not
There are some-
campaign.
No, Madam Speaker, my argument is this. You find a competitor. Okay, not sleeping in the constituency, but
There's an order here. Order from Moses.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank my colleague my colleague. Yeah, that's,
Is it-
I'm coming to the order. Yeah, the order, Madam Speaker, the colleague, he has come out requesting that this parliament can protect maybe members of parliament because we have competitors. But is he in order as per now? Because I remember in the 10th parliament, as Honorable Kapoza was here crying, for him was busy in the constituency campaigning. Is he in order as per now to claim that he will not be in parliament because he fears his competitors? Is he in order?
Honorable members, I don't want to imagine that is why members are not in the house. If that is why the members are not in the house, you were voted for 5 years. You should be able to finish your work. You should be in the constituency, work for the constituency for the 5 years. If you're withdrawing now, then let us know that you're withdrawing now. Then we have a by-election. Yes. Yes, Sarah. Strictly on communication. Don't
Yes,
smuggle in.
thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm not smuggling in anything. I'm just on your communication. Right Honorable Speaker, I recall the last games that we had in Juba. Your colleague, the Speaker of Tanzania, raised very serious questions and the need for us to streamline these games, because one of her complaints was the issue of mercenaries being brought in, hired to participate in the sports. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I think it would be good that as presiding officers, the games should be members of parliament competing against members of parliament from other parliaments. And where a parliament cannot raise a team, then they don't participate in that game. Otherwise, the games are becoming, something else. It is not portraying the parliament, the image of the parliament that we should be having, of members of parliament participating against fellow members of parliament. Because when the Yala fails, East African Legislative Assembly fails to raise a team amongst themselves, what they do is they don't participate in that game. We've seen Burundi pulling out of certain games. Arranged. Otherwise, it's becoming something else, Right Honorable Speaker. The remarks of the Speaker.
Honorable members, the issue of who is going to play is a responsibility of the Bureau of Speakers, and it has already been decided upon. So it's administrative. We know what happened in South Sudan, so that has already been cured. Milton.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I have to thank you for finding time to visit the training camps. Your coming has motivated and inspired troops on the ground. It is an encouragement. Whenever you find time to visit us train, I think we get encouraged and inspired. Madam Speaker, last year, were the serious giants that trained for tug of war. But finally, I think they ended up along the way. We have to thank you so much this time for making it a standalone game. And the giants are busy training and will be able to defend and not embarrass you. I thank you.
I hope you didn't pick those giants from the Vachubas. Honorable Achut Alobo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In reaction to your amendment of the order paper, I wanted to seek your clarity and guidance. Under our Rule 26.4, it provides that every Thursday, the first 2 hours shall be allocated for the transaction of private members' business. And we just wanted to seek your guidance on how that could be considered, because there are a number of burning issues that we may be facing as members that were seeking your guidance in terms of
they are raising them up on this floor of Parliament. Very, very pertinent on my side, which really cuts across everyone, is that the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness informed me that they have stopped.
You're not going to smuggle in your matter. And the 2 hours is dependent on on what is on the order paper, on the presiding officer. Anyway, we shall have matters of national importance. When I see the people who are supposed to respond, now we have a full front bench. Yes, Santa?
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on your communication, first, as a whip, there are members who normally attend plenary on Zoom. And I don't know how those ones are registered, because some of them, when I asked, they say they were on Zoom. So I thought, through you, Madam Speaker, that should also be very clear. Then 2, on games, Madam Speaker, you have made mention of carrot and sticks. I would like to request you that let it be also applied at the end of us when we are leaving for these games. Otherwise, I want to thank you for the tug of war, for making it a standalone, because it's a very strenuous game, Madam Speaker, and athletics. I think when the right time comes, they need to really get that special consideration. Thank you so much.
On the issue of members virtually present in the House have to register with the clerk 48 hours before the sitting. So we'll know that these people were virtually on attending the House and they're on the Zoom. Joan?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank you for the communication. I will comment on the issue of the interparliamentary games. 3 weeks ago, you directed that a report be tabled to the floor of Parliament on the previous interparliamentary games. And as team athletics, you know, athletics has always made you proud from time memorial. So it's our humble prayer that as we finish the last Parliament games, it's a humble request that the report be tabled on the floor as a norm, because the medals are rotting and the trophies are not yet displayed on the floor. And as team athletics, we request that when the time comes, you equate us the same days as the other members of Parliament, since we are all living at the same time, and we ought to be back at the same time as Team Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you. The good thing, the medals are not perishable, and we'll accord you time to come and present them. Pardon? Honorable, and the chair is supposed to make a report to the House and bring the medals. So can we have it for Wednesday? Can we have it for Wednesday? Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And in the course of your communication, you have repeated making the call, a clarion call to members to dutifully attend plenary. I've been tracking attendance of members, not only in plenary, but also in committees. But what is very difficult to execute is retrieving that list, the virtue of those that virtually attend plenary. It is already now proven and confirmed that members hardly attend committees on Zoom, but there are members surely who attend plenary on Zoom. But
maybe just a correction, it is 12 hours, not 48 hours, 12 hours.
But maybe it is effective today, cutters of your directive to the clerk. There seems to be no trace of any records whatsoever.
But honorable members, why would you want to attend even a committee on Zoom? Tell me. Huh? Why really? How come that every day you're in the house and we are defending people who want to represent themselves online? Why? Seungu is always here every day. That's why they should vote for him. Because if you want to represent your people on Zoom, then there is a problem. Much as we have in our rules. Gold.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. With your permission, Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank you and the honorable members and whoever made it possible for us to sit in such an arrangement whereby we're not subjected to strict SOPs, no mask, congested as we are. An indication that COVID-19, Right Honorable Speaker, is at a lower rate. Right Honorable Speaker, a few days back, I observed keenly the head of state, General Museveni, whereby he was driven in a mobile safe box when he was inspecting the guard of honor. He was in a box alone.
Is that in my communication?
Exactly. No. It is just a procedure matter.
No. Honorable members. Honorable members, can we go to the next item? Matters of national importance are going to come. You see, one thing that I've learned of you people, when you have a matter of national importance, the moment you finish, you take off. Let's first pass my bills. After we finish my bills, then we bring matters.
Yeah, on your communication. Yes. Right Honorable Speaker. Right.
Yes.
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, on your communication.
On communication, yes.
Yes. You know, this very house was planned not for up to 557. So if all of us come, I am very sure even the lobby will be overcrowded. So how do we solve this problem? Some of us try our best, but sometimes you come late and the house is too small.
Honorable members, as the leader of the house, your role is to come. For me, I will know what to do. I will know what to do. You all come. And I will make sure everybody is seated. This business of saying that I should not go, why are you sacrificing yourself? That because the house is full. Even Okot.
Yes, thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. This is a vital information for almost all of us, including the nation. In this 11th Parliament, we have adopted a very new system where there is free sitting. And we deliberate and speak for national issues. Therefore, the fear that we may be too much congested in this house, we should not have it. We are here to work. And if you are not working because of certain issues, well and done, you inform the, but even the concerns he has put is right. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members. Honorable members, Doctor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mine is on the sports, and my concern is on other sports that are not currently being involved in the games. And specifically, I want to talk about darts. Yes, because some of us play darts. Last time I tried, and I think I was told it is not. Yes, I wanted to.
Can we hear from the chair?
Yes.
Let the chair.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, the decision to introduce a discipline is done by the speakers of the East African Assembly. The speakers, through what they call a Bureau of Speakers, where our Right Honorable Speaker sits. That was introduced 2 years ago, and specifically for members of parliament with disabilities at that time. So as of now, the decision by the Bureau of Speakers is that that's, in the meantime, will be an exclusive preserve for that category. Maybe in the future, they may reconsider the decision, but that is the position as of now. That's the information I wanted to give.
Doctor will, in the next meeting, will bring it up that it should be open to all members.
Yes, yes. But
We'll bring it up.
But for now, Right Honorable, since I'm putting on glasses, yes, I qualify because medically. Yes,
I am also putting on glasses, but I'm not disabled. Atkins, honorable members, we need to move fast. I need to give you 2 hours for matters of national importance, and that is dependent on you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm here standing on a procedural issue. First of all, I want to welcome you back from the Holy See, the Holy Father. And I'm seated right at the front bench. And I'm comforted that I'm going to draw some blessings from you. Welcome back, Madam Speaker. Personally, I've been missing you, and I'm really happy.
Have you heard he has been missing me and he's coming for the blessings? Please come for the blessings.
I will, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Parliament has cardinal roles. And one of those roles is representation. Madam Speaker, I'm standing on behalf of the Bukonzo County West people that sent me to this parliament by the grace of God. Madam Speaker, while I was away in the United States, government gave 2 turns to every member of parliament, made seats. So when I came back, Madam Speaker, about 4 months ago, I tried to contact the seed company, and the seed company indicated that my share was given to somebody else. And I imagine, Madam Speaker, that is only possible if there is authorization coming from me. And I demanded, Madam Speaker, that I be served with a copy of the authorization letter from Atkins Katusabe. And then this individual cut me off. And then, Madam Speaker, I got a call from a private number, and somebody was saying, we have your 2 turns, but please, if you want, is it okay for you to receive money? And I thought that was strange. And I said, I only receive seeds, no money. And I wouldn't invite a cost upon myself receiving money in exchange of the 2 turns. That one dropped. Madam Speaker, when I followed up with the seed manager, they told me that my share, or the Bukonzo County share, had been taken back to the consolidated fund.
Honorable Atkins, the procedure should always be on the proceedings of the House. But what you're raising is a very important issue. Can you write to me? Can you write to me on what you are raising? Because that's a matter that borders criminality. And we need an intervention on that. if the company that is giving out seeds is the one doing that, then we will blackmail that company. I mean, blacklist company. So can you write to me on that aspect? And then we'll handle it.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And I think that's the reason why I raised it, because this person said your 2 tons was sent back to the consolidated fund. Consolidated fund.
We'll handle.
So, Madam Speaker, I appreciate your intervention.
Thank you. Honorable members. This house is for honorable members. When I hear you shouting, even with all the visitors we have up here, they may not even admire to be in the next parliament. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation of students across Uganda who have just completed the Uganda Schools Debate Championship organized by the Debate Society of Uganda. They are here to witness the proceedings. You're most welcome. Where are you? Please stand up. You're most welcome. And thank you for coming. This is your parliament, a people-centered parliament. Have a seat. Thank you. Honorable members, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation of leaders from Gulu City, led by the city mayor, Honorable Okwang Alfred, and the RCC, Jane Francis Amongin. Please stand up, all of you. They are here to witness. Honorable members, they are represented by Honorable Awol Betio Chan. There and Honorable Martin Mapendusi Ojara. They are clapping for their member. And then Father Ned, first stand up. They are represented by Father Nen, Honorable Jara Mapendusi, and Honorable Betty Awol Ochan, and Honorable Court. You have honorable members. We promised as Parliament that this was a people-centered Parliament and would take Parliament to the communities. This is one of the community that Parliament has just been training on their roles as leaders. They are the local councils. We've just been training. We had a training in Fort Photo. We've had in several places. This time we had it in Northern Uganda. I want to thank you so much for coming. This is your parliament, a people-centered parliament, and we are here. You have good representatives. Please send them back. Go and work for them and make sure they come back to parliament. And I want to thank you for coming and come again. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue I'm raising is about the bridge Katonga, and it was raised here in the floor of Parliament, but there's a big challenge.
Why don't we handle it on the fuel prices?
Most obliged, Madam Speaker.
Next item.
Item 3, statements by ministers on 3.1, the spike in the pump prices of fuel.
Honorable Prime Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the ministers in charge of that docket are out of station,
but we communicated to them. But right now, we cannot, they cannot present because they're out of their station. Thank you.
How many ministers are in energy?
There are three.
Right Honorable, there are three.
How come all of them can be out of station? So who is running the ministry?
Right Honorable, the permanent secretary must be running the
permanent secretary is a technical head, the political heads.
They
And
always
I want,
write.
Honorable Prime Minister, I want you people to take this parliament serious. Assuming tomorrow when you want to appropriate money for those ministries and these members are not there, what would happen? What would happen? Yes, Tebandeke. Tebandeke, then John.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue that the ministers are playing absenteeism is very crucial because fuel started as a joking matter. Right Honorable Speaker, before COVID, a little fuel was costing worth 3,500. Jokingly, the prices went up abnormally, up to even 10,000 and beyond in some parts of the country. Right now, the prices are increasing without any intervention of the government.
We are not going to debate on
So-
the report which has not been presented. Our issue is on the ministers not attending.
Right Honorable Speaker, my issue, are we proceeding rightfully? If you rule by rule 87 of our rules of procedure, your ruling becomes part of the rules this house must follow. So if the ministers are playing injustice on such crucial matters which affect the economy of the country, are we proceeding right?
John?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Of course, we are not proceeding in rightly. That's why we are complaining. Out of all the ministers we approved, how can we fail to have just one minister here?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. It has been the practice of this August House that when one minister is not around, reports are always delegated, especially to the government chief whip, who is in the house today. The Prime Minister is also in the house today and is the leader of government business. My understanding is that the absence of ministers should not ordinarily have been an excuse for failure to present a report. I wish to...
Maybe we need to find out if they have the report. Do you have the report, Government Chief Whip?
Right Honorable Speaker, the instruction I received from this house yesterday was to ensure that 3 ministries are represented today. That was the instruction. I do not have a written report from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, but just like the Right Honorable Prime Minister indicated, from your directive yesterday, we wrote to them yesterday. The letters were all served to the Minister of Energy, Minister of Education, Minister of Local Government, and Minister of Works. And I have evidence to that effect. I do not have any further I can lay. This is a letter dated 30th August 2023, addressed to the Honorable Minister, Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Kampala, signed by Obua Dennis Amson, MP, Government Chief Whip. And the subject, the purpose of this letter is to kindly request you to take the necessary action and update the House on the matter tomorrow, Thursday, 31st August 2023, as guided by the presiding officer. So I acted on the instructions as yesterday. As of today, I have no instructions to present a report.
Thank you. Yes.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, to the Prime Minister, you are in your trouble. There is no way you can conduct business here without your office being serious, because you are the lead of government's business here. The chief whip of NRM, the Honourable Minister, has always been writing, Madam Speaker, even to us on matters we raise. But here we are, Madam Speaker, we have a challenge. In Masaka, along Masaka, buses are going through Zimbabwe. However, they are not meant to go through actual points. The prayers I wanted to make in this matter of the fuel issues is to allow buses to go through Katonga. People are failing to travel because transport is very expensive. And they are carrying only 59 people in the bus. Who can help us? No, Minister of Works is not here, but people carrying out business in buses are collapsing because people are no longer using those buses. Coasters are using that road. When you go to Katonga, Madam Prime Minister, I inquired with the engineers. There is no reason why buses are not using that road other than going through Zimbabwe. It's becoming very costly for them. And there are fuel prices, nothing is happening. But now, Madam Prime Minister, you should come out directly. Where is the real Prime Minister? The one Banya, who is fully facilitated to appear here every week. She's now 3 weeks not appearing here.
The Prime Minister, Honorable Navanja, wrote to me and I gave her permission to be away.
Yes, Madam Speaker, my prayer.
She wrote to me.
Most obliged, Madam Speaker. But
and delegated Hajat.
My prayer, Madam Speaker, can we ask Minister of Works and the Minister of Energy to examine these buses? Do they have any effect on Katonga Bridge?
So
when
they are coming with that report, they should also include what,
they open
what
for
you
them
have
people
said.
to travel.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Right. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister was very clear. She said she communicated to the ministers. And when she came here, she told us the 3 ministers are out of the station. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm just wishing to find out from the Prime Minister. After receiving the communication that her 3 ministers were out of the station and she was coming here to respond to this issue, which answer did
Honorable
she
members, we are, honorable members, can we have, Works is on another issue.
Procedure.
Listen, Works is on another issue. The fuel issues and the buses not crossing Katonga should be presented. We've gotten information, the reports are not here. Which minister is supposed to be here today? Which minister from Energy? We have a rota.
Right Honorable Speaker, according to the rota that was laid on the floor, Thursday under Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, the ministry is supposed to be represented by the Honorable Ruth Nankabirwa Sentamu, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development.
So can you write to the minister on this issue, warning her? Can you write to the minister?
Right Honorable Speaker, I absolutely have no reservation because this is a directive of the Speaker. Mine is to relay, and I undertake to relay.
Next item.
Item 3.2, a statement by Minister on the high cost of school fees in some public schools and tertiary institutions and attendant regulations.
Education.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members. First of all, I want to thank the August House for giving me the opportunity to present a statement in line with the order paper of today. Right Honorable Speaker, the ministry shares the concerns of the honorable members about the prohibitive school fees charges, which are denying access to education for a number of learners and compromising the government objective of providing affordable, quality education for all and increasing equitable access to education. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, it's against this background that the First Lady, the Minister of Education and Sports, set up a Kayanja committee in March 2017. The findings and recommendations of the committee were considered and guidelines issued while taking into consideration the liberalized nature of the economy and the consequent need for government to regulate rather than control levels of fees by designing guidelines which schools must abide by. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, from the recommendations that were drawn by the Kayanja report, the ministry has come up with measures to curb the continuous rising fees charges. These measures were communicated to the schools and the general public through press releases and a circular by the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports. The guidelines in the circular include the following. Number one, no school, private or government, shall increase fees for whatever reason without written authorization from the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, and or Chief Administrative Officer, stroke town clerk, as the case may be. Number two, other cash and non-cash requirements outside the approved school fees structure are strictly prohibited. All non-cash items must be catered for in the school budget. Number three, schools implementing the universal primary, universal secondary, and universal post-O-level education and training shall strictly adhere to the policy implementation guidelines. Where parents decide and agree to contribute towards an emergency in the school and permission is sought and granted by the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education. No learner shall be excluded from school on account of parents' failure to pay the agreed amount in accordance with Section 9(3) of the Education Act 2008. As soon as the emergency is resolved, the school shall stop charging the emergency fund. Number four, where a school board stroke school management committee has to employ additional teachers to those on payroll, permission shall be sought from the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Education in the case of a secondary school and Chief Administrative Officer, stroke town clerk in the case of a primary school to use part of the capitation grants towards the payment of the additional teachers. In line with the above, in line with 4 above, head teachers are warned against employing additional teachers before all the teachers on payrolls have been assigned the minimum required teaching load. All teachers without minimum teaching load should be promptly reported to the Ministry of Education and Sports in case of secondary school or respective local government in case of primary schools for appropriate redeployment. All schools must respect the establishment ceilings for both teaching and non-teaching staff as provided by the Ministry of Public Service. Number 6, private schools must adhere to the approved staff employment guidelines. They should formally recruit, contract, and effectively manage and develop staff on reasonable employment terms. Number 7, all government and government-aided schools should desist from taking commercial loans. Any school applying for a loan must seek authorization from the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development through the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, as provided for in the Public Finance Management Act. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, these guidelines have been widely circulated to the institutions of learning across the country through local government, Kampala Capital City Authority, and the Directorate of Education Standards. Before I conclude, Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay on table the following: circulars written on 2017 on guidelines on school charges, I beg to lay. I again want to lay on table a circular written on 29th October 2028, guidelines on school charges to all. 2018, please, I want to repeat. I beg to lay on table guidelines written on 29th October 2018. I beg to lay. Furthermore, I want to lay another circular written on 4th February 2020. I beg to lay. Honorable members, Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Education and Sports prepared a cabinet paper on school fees regulations. However, cabinet in a quest to fulfill the pledge of free education for all, directed the ministry to submit another memorandum on compulsory free education for all. The ministry is embarking on this process and will brief Parliament accordingly on the progress of this at an appropriate time. Therefore, the policy regulating school fees as it were being taken by events and a new position on universal education is being explored. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for enduring to present. One, I want to know the categories. Does your circular? Now we needed regulations, but now you're talking about a circular. Does your circular categorize these schools? Categorizing them in terms of urban school, local school, village school, and that kind of thing. And then does it give the minimum services that are in those categories? And it is from those minimum services that you determine how much school fees are paid. For instance, if you're talking about a school in Kampala, it has a swimming pool, it has a sports ground, it has all that kind of things. It should be different from a school in Bukedea, which has nothing. And the circular that you're having here, that you're reading, who enforces whatever you're reading in that circular? Who enforces it? And what redress do we have for teachers, for parents who come complaining on the school fees that are being hiked? And then lastly, do all these parents know about that circular? I personally own a school, but I even didn't know about those circulars. Yes, let me start with Eric. Where you have just come. Eric, you sit here first.
It's procedure, Madam Speaker.
Yes, you're on procedure.
Yes. Madam Speaker and honorable members, I want to thank the honorable minister for making an effort at least to be present and make a statement when is required to do so. Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, I listened to the honorable minister. He referred to Kayanja report. Kayanja report is the one that is informing the circulars, literally even the statement that he made. But he was not courteous enough to lay it on table or even inform the House where we can find it. The procedure that I'm raising. In the circumstances that we find this report critical, is it tenable for us to proceed, discuss his statement without this critical report that he referred to, that informed his statement and the circulars that he laid on the floor of the House? I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister, where can we get that report? And is that the Kayanja report? And what is it about Kayanja report?
Madam Speaker, first of all, honorable members, I would like to thank you for those questions, but also thank the colleagues for asking. The question of the Kanja report, I can be able to lay it on table or submit to Office of Clerk by tomorrow, since Parliament is not sitting tomorrow. Like you have heard from my statement, the Kayanja report was on the basis why we came up with most of these guidelines and circulars which I've presented before here. So I will be able to lay it on table as Parliament has directed. I thank you.
Honorable Minister, Section 3.2 and Section 57G of Education, that is pre-primary, primary, and post-primary, Act 2008 mandates the minister to prescribe and regulate fees payable. And in the process of regulating, we want to know, I have asked you very critical questions. And on top of what I've asked you, I want to know the mechanisms that you have for redress on parents that are aggrieved. But still, the honorable member is asking you, where is that Kayanja report? I know it's a Kayanja. For us, what we want is a regulation. And you should be able to issue regulations frequently. You don't issue regulations in 2018 and you think the economy is still the same.
Madam Speaker, I entirely want to agree with your submissions and the questions you've asked.
And just a minute. If you don't have the regulations, it is just polite enough for you to say, I don't have them now. Let me come back with the regulations on Tuesday. Don't suffer on what you don't have. Please. No, let's not debate what is not correct. Yeah, let's not debate on what is not correct. Honorable Minister, if you don't have, just say you've now known what is required. Let me go back and come with the right.
Madam Speaker, I want to refer the House to my concluding statements of my report to the House. And I want to read as follows. Number one, the ministry had come up with the regulations. However, we did submit these regulations to Cabinet. Cabinet did direct us not to submit, and Cabinet decided to take on one policy and tasked us to prepare another Cabinet memo. And that's why now in my concluding remark, which I want to read, therefore, the policy regulating school fees has it where.
Honorable Minister, the ministry presented the draft proposals to Cabinet, not regulations, because they were not gazetted. They can only be regulations once they are gazetted.
Madam Speaker, you've asked me quite many questions, and I want to request and implore the August House that you allow me to bring another statement on Tuesday concerning the questions you've asked. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, now come with the regulations. Honorable members, you're not going to debate on what is not correct. Let's not debate on it. The answer it will take like we've debated, we have received, we don't have anything. We have not received any document from education. We are putting them for Tuesday. Next item.
Item 3.3, statement by ministers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. You've required the minister to come back. I pray, Madam Speaker, that when he's coming back, he let us also know the amount of investments government is putting in public schools when he's coming back, because that determines what the private sector charges. So come, and when you're coming, he is coming by, tell us what is government investing in these public schools, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable members, that's what we said yesterday, that we appropriate to these schools. And because we make appropriation to these government schools, we don't expect them to exceed a certain amount of money. And also in terms of requirement, how would you tell a student to bring a broom or a mat, all those kind of things? Eric.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Procedurally, Madam Speaker,
I don't know what you're debating on.
wouldn't it be,
Honorable members, I don't know what you're debating on.
Madam Speaker, I'm just seeking guidance. You have guided very well, but with specific reference, the ministry currently has ordered all technical institutions to re-register and pay 3 million. These are regulations that are being created time and again, and these institutions are almost closing down. Remember, the government had requested or had designed every constituency to have a technical institute. Currently, there is a big problem. Wouldn't it be procedure right, Madam Speaker?
Those
the
are
minister,
government technical institutions.
private technical institutes must re-register, and then they were registered and cleared everything.
That is private.
They are private.
So you don't want to register?
To re-register again, and then they were cleared. Even those who were registered 10 years ago, why again register them and then ordered to pay 3 million?
There is always an upgrade. By the way, I also own a technical school and I've paid. Lutamaguze. Now look at Tinka.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister, what is raising is very pertinent. Come with an answer to Honorable Eric.
Right Honorable Speaker, kindly through you, would also want to know what the Kayanja report is all about.
That's what
we are hearing about Kayanja. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I pray that the cabinet takes the issue of regulations very seriously. The moment we pass a bill here and you don't provide regulations, that bill becomes, it just becomes academic, because it will not have any significance.
Pardon?
Once we pass a bill here and it's required to have regulations and they are not passed and they are not brought, that bill or act becomes academic. Because in the courts of law, there is no way you can proceed with a bill unless judges take their own decisions, because it is their regulations that give you guidance and how to run an act.
So, honorable members, we have asked we want a regulation in this floor on school fees.
And that's what, Madam Speaker, I'm saying. Because how would you charge 3 million without regulations? You can't.
Next item.
Item 3.3. Statement by Minister on the non-compliance of local governments, cities and municipalities with a parliamentary resolution on the utilization of the road maintenance grant.
Honorable members, the maintenance of the roads is a major determinant of the lifespan and durability of our roads down there in the village. And I heard yesterday when Chemonges was talking about the roads for training. It's against that background that we appropriated 1 billion shillings to each local government, municipalities and cities for road maintenance with the strict guidelines. Honorable Mara, I am going to call you to come and chair this house. The non-adherence of these guidelines sent to local governments as prescribed by Parliament of Uganda. And I'm saying Parliament of Uganda, because the ones that were sent before were by Minister of Works. But there are guidelines that were approved by this Parliament, and now they've not been implemented, saying they have instructions to strictly use the original guidelines. And that is bringing a problem, the non-usage of the money. And we are saying that money must be used strictly according to the guidelines that were issued by this Parliament. This parliament is a parliament of the people of Uganda. It represents the people of Uganda, and the representatives here are here for all the 40, how many million people? Whichever, 48, 40, whichever. So, Honorable Minister, can we hear from you, Prime Minister?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to first express our thanks to you as a sector, local government. I know our councillors have left, but we want to thank you for approving support to training of councillors, not just in Gulu City, but even in the other cities. We thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, secondly, allow me to tender our apology as ministers of local government for not being in the house yesterday. It was because of an emergency we had. Colleagues, you know that the bus operators in the whole country had parked their vehicles. So we had an engagement with them last week, and we had to conclude it yesterday with the Minister of Works, with the Minister of Kampala, the Minister of Finance, and the Internal Affairs. And gladly I can report, because we thought it would take 1 hour, but it took quite a long time. But the bus operators agreed to resume their services and to suspend their strike, and we'll continue to engage them. Right Honorable Speaker, and the House, we tender our apology for yesterday's absence, but otherwise, our commitment to duty to Parliament is unquestionable. Thank you so much. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Chief Whip, our government Chief Whip, and I want to confirm that he did whip me in the evening. He did that. You know, Honorable Bua is a gentleman. His softness comes with some strong whipping. And he used the phone, he used the WhatsApp, he even wrote the letters. So he whipped us, he did. And I'd like to confirm that, yes, he did that. But in terms of our preparedness for the statement, Right Honorable Speaker, we take this matter very seriously. It's a very important point, and we thank Parliament for giving the 1 billion shillings per district. However, because of the little time I had, I was able to do the following. Number one, I immediately summoned the executive committee of the district engineers. This morning, I met them, and they had they received the resolutions of Parliament, and they are committed to implement. Secondly, we have sent a team to the different districts so that we are able to come up with a concrete answer to Parliament on, number one, did they receive the money? How much this quarter? And number two, how are they utilizing it? Right Honorable Speaker, I want to beg your indulgence that you permit me and Minister of Works to continue harmonizing with Finance so that within 1 week, we're able to provide a comprehensive statement on this matter. Because I'm sure that each member of Parliament wants to know what is the situation in his or her district. So we shall be able to do that, Right Honorable, if you give us up to Thursday next week. We thank you.
We have students from Ativdel University in Belgium who are attending the exchange program at Nkumba University in Tebe. You're most welcome. Welcome to Parliament of Uganda. Thank you for coming. Please have a seat. Then we have in the public gallery, we have constituents from Mayuge district. They are represented in Parliament by Honorable Rukia Nakadama and Honorable Issa Abire. You're most welcome. And Honorable Kubeketeria James. Thank you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for bringing these very good MPs. We want to thank you so much, people of Mayuge. Yes, now The minister has asked for 1 week for him to see the implementation. For him to see the implementation, and the minister is saying that he says that he got a resolution from Parliament. After getting the resolution from Parliament, did you write to the local governments? And if you wrote to the local governments, can you lay on table a copy of what you wrote to the local governments?
Madam Speaker.
There is only one thing that solves the whole problem. We want a letter from local government guidelines that were passed by Parliament that have been forwarded by local government to all the local governments.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker, we did two things. Number one, we met as ministers responsible. And number two, we dispatched the resolution, but we didn't provide the guidelines in terms of a resolution being crafted into guidelines of government. So they did receive the resolution, and maybe what you need, and this is why we say give us a week, and meeting the engineers today, they are saying yes, because they still have the guideline from the Ministry of Works. So we still have, as ministers, to provide that guideline in relation with the resolution. Thank you.
So, Honorable Minister of local government, which guidelines did you recommend the local governments to use? Which ones did you advise local governments to use? You know the problem, honorable members, when this house passed these guidelines, the same ministers went to cabinet and said the speaker dictated and brought guidelines which are different from ours. They went to cabinet. Which one have you advised local governments to use?
Right Honorable Speaker, let me, no, they not consult the minister, he's here. We have not taken this matter to cabinet. We met as ministers of works and finance.
Honorable
Honorable
Magesi.
Katumba,
Honorable Magesi, you want me to mention who said in cabinet? Do you want to do that? I am asking a simple question. Kindly help us. Can you write a covering letter to local governments telling them implement these guidelines that were approved by Parliament and work on the roads?
Right Honorable Speaker.
It is as simple as that.
The local governments today have the guideline as given to them by Ministry of Works. They also have the resolution which we sent to them, the resolution of Parliament. Permit us on Thursday to table the revised guideline that is in line with the parliamentary resolution. But I really want to confirm we didn't take this matter to cabinet at all. Not at all.
Clarification.
Asuman.
Right Honorable Speaker, I think what is important to emphasize to the minister is that by passing the resolution of this house was actually aware of the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Works. In fact, we had considered those guidelines issued by the Ministry of Works and explained here that they had become an obstacle in themselves. It was against that background that Parliament did actually resolve that we take the guidelines issued and approved by Parliament, not the ones. Right Honorable Speaker, what the Minister for Local Government is saying is that now the local governments have two sets of guidelines. Deliberately create confusion. So these local governments, what they are doing, Right Honourable Speaker, is to claim that because we have two guidelines, we make a choice which ones to follow. So unless the minister gives clarification to the local governments, we are going to continue. Information from Bujiri. Yes, MP Bukodi Central.
Honorable
Yes.
members,
Right, Honorable Speaker, the information I want to give Honorable Asman is that the day we passed the guidelines here, the Minister of Local Government was represented, and even the Minister of Works, and they conceded to the guidelines because the Speaker kept on asking them, do you agree? And they said, we agree, and they conceded. Right, Honorable Speaker, it is therefore surprising that now they are saying that there are two guidelines when they conceded here on the floor of Parliament. That's the information I wanted to give you, Honorable.
honorable members, for me, all I want is Honorable Magezi, Minister of Local Government, to go and write to all the local governments. And I want you people to, and I want you people to know you're all members of Parliament. It affects all of us. I want you to write to the local governments forwarding the resolution of Parliament. All I want is a forward of a resolution of Parliament on the usage of that money.
Madam Speaker.
I have not given anybody the microphone.
Right, Honorable Speaker, most obliged.
When do I get a copy of that letter?
Right, Honorable Speaker, the copy of the letter will be on your desk on Tuesday.
I want to have the copy of the letter tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow is Friday. I will be working. I will be working.
We shall do that, right, Honorable Speaker.
And I want you to give a copy of that letter to all members of Parliament.
The copies will be in their pigeonholes.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item.
Item 4, laying of papers, treaties ratified by the government of Uganda pursuant to Rule 40 of the Rules of Procedure.
Honorable members, yesterday as I guided the House, the treaties that were laid on table were printed from an email. And we asked the minister to come and present today another, which is signed. Prime Minister, we're supposed to have the treaties laid on table. And that is pursuant to Rule 40, Sub-Rule 2.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Minister of Foreign Affairs is not here. But I'm requesting for Right, Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has not yet come, and we've called him, so I'm requesting for some minutes so that he can come and present the treaties. I thank you.
Honorable members, we have been reduced to a house where we are the ones to wait for ministers. Next item.
Item 5, motion for reconsideration of the National Local Content Bill 2023 as returned by His Excellency the President in accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and Rule 143 of the Rules of Procedure.
Honorable members, as you recall, the National Content Bill was passed by this House on 6 September 2022 and transmitted to His Excellency the President for assent in furtherance to Article 91(1) of the Constitution. The President evoked Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and returned the bill for reconsideration by this House. A later date, 16 January 2023. The bill was referred to the Committee for Reconsideration under Rule 143, Sub-Rule 2 of the Rules of Procedure. The committee has considered the bill and ready to report. And in furtherance to Rule 143.3 of the Rules of Procedure, I will invite the sponsor of the bill to move a motion for its reconsideration. Honorable Oshabi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I've been working on the local content bill since 2018. And my primary purpose has always been on how do we bring Ugandans on board in the development progress that we make. Continuously, the bill was passed the first time in the previous parliament.
First move a motion, then you make your justification. Move a motion.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I move a motion to reconsider the National Local Content Bill.
Is it seconded? Seconded by Eric Tinkasimire. By Chema Sweat. By Ethel, Honorable Lanya, Goretti, Luchamusi, Masaka, the youth, Alan, by Lee, Goli, Joan, Aru, Apollo, Koluo, Emmanuel, Gold, Sabacristo, and Mbwa.
Yes.
Museveni, Eric, Chairman Legal, Chairperson Legal, Chemutai, Xavier, Noeline, Ik, the whole house, without ministers. Would you want to justify your motion?
Madam Speaker, the bill was read for the first time on 3rd May 2023 and referred to the Committee on Finance, Planning and Economic Development for scrutiny pursuant to 121 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. On the 6th September 2022, Parliament considered and passed the National Local Content Bill 2022, which was then transmitted to His Excellency the President for assent. However,
Honorable members,
the President,
the members who are out, please come in. I want to ascertain the quorum.
His Excellency the President, in a letter addressed to the Right Honorable Speaker dated 19th January, returned the bill to Parliament for reconsideration. The committee reconsidered the bill and Parliament passed the bill for the second time. His Excellency the President, however, returned the bill again on 1st August 2023 for reconsideration by Parliament, and the same was forwarded by the Right Honorable Speaker to the Finance Committee, Planning and Economic Development for reconsideration on 8th August 2023. The bill having repeated, Madam Speaker, it has been amended by the committee. It no longer meets the intention of which it was meant to achieve. The bill was an affirmative action law, Madam Speaker, for Ugandans to ably participate in the provisions of goods, works, and services. The bill was, however, been modified to provide for priority and prioritization of East African community partner states, which have offended the very lead title of the bill in the contravention of Rule 116 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, which bars a bill from containing anything foreign to which it looks title imports. While we are aware that all the East African community partner states are prioritizing their own nationals in the provisions of goods, works, and services, you give these same people priority equivalent to its own people. Furthermore, the amendments to the bill contravene in many of other new laws, including the procurement laws. At an opportune time, I'll seek leave of this House, Madam Speaker, to introduce the National Local Content Bill again, having thoroughly considered the amendments that are being proposed. Right Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Rule 140 of the Rules of Procedure, I therefore wish to withdraw the Local Content Bill 2022.
This is now serious. Omara. The man has somebody. The man has somebody. The sponsor of the sugar.
Honorable members, the member wants to withdraw, and that will be put to vote. That will be put to vote. Can we know why you want to withdraw? Can you justify?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I intended, my original intention in this bill, it was an affirmative action law for the people of Uganda. Having considered that they are facing stiff competition from foreign companies, I intended that at least there be a portion reserved for them. But continuously, Madam Speaker and honorable members, the continuous amendments, they have prioritized the bill. Today I was in the committee and I saw them insisting that we cannot create a law that contravenes the East African community. And I told the chairperson that, Mr. Chairperson, if your intention is
I hope you're not doing it out of emotions.
No, Madam Speaker.
Because when we are here, we legislate for all our people.
Yeah, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much. And my intention was about the people of Uganda. Now, if the law has been changed to attract to consider for the rest of the East African countries, I see that the intention, my original intention, will not be achieved under the current law, the way it has been made. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members. Yes, Council.
Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the member on the withdrawal of the bill. Right Honorable Speaker, yesterday we were here. The House was adjourned at almost 8:30. The few of us who were here, we were discussing the veterinary practitioners bill. In that bill, there was a proposal to allow citizens from East Africa.
There's an order.
Madam Speaker, when the House was adjourned yesterday, we had quorum. And it was put on record. And we passed a bill. His Honor Vasarwa in order to say that few of us, would it be in order for him to withdraw that statement? Because before he proceeds, is she in order?
Actually, we're not few, we're many. And the professor is right. Honorable Basali, change your words. We're not few.
Right Honorable Speaker, we were enough to constitute quorum. I agree, we were not few, we were enough to constitute quorum. including those online, and Professor knows, because we've been together for
We
long.
constituted a quorum, not that we're enough to.
And I didn't say there was no quorum. It is just importing words in my speech. And he's a professor, but I'll leave it at that. Right Honorable Speaker, yesterday, before I was diverted by Professor, yesterday, we were discussing a bill here. In that bill, there was a proposal to open up, to allow veterinary practitioners from other East African countries to be registered and admitted here. When we were here, and the justification was that we must now think East Africa. But we got information that other East African countries are not doing the same. As we are opening up for them, they are closing. And the honorable member is saying we need to create what we call a boo-boo, to provide an opportunity for the citizens of Uganda. If really that was the intention of the bill, and there are amendments that are opening up the bill, there is total departure from the intention. I want to agree that the member is absolutely in order, and I want to invite the House to support the member to have the bill withdrawn for purposes of ensuring that his intention is preserved. I beg to support him.
Yeah, Solomon. Then Abraham.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to stand here to support Honorable Shabe in withdrawing this bill. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, I was one of the seconders of this bill in the 10th Parliament, the first time we brought it. Right Honorable Speaker, it started all with our engineers. The big contracts, Right Honorable Speaker, we found out that we are going to external companies in different countries in China. Right Honorable Speaker, our indigenous Ugandans are bleeding. Our president, our beloved president, has always been on record, says build Uganda, buy Uganda. And all of us believe in this, build Uganda and buy Uganda. I seconded this motion with the gist that we are supporting the indigenous Ugandans to get a chance to compete in these big contracts that exist in the country, especially in the road sector, infrastructure, so that we have the local content reservation for Ugandans. Therefore, if this intention has been departed from, I think I want to stand with the Honorable Shabe that I think it is only right and wise at this time that he withdraws. Then maybe we can bring the bill again to the House.
Madam Speaker, I have tried to listen carefully, and I thought the withdrawal by the sponsor sounds candid. But when I listened to my brother, Honorable Basalira, he seemed to be reinforcing the withdrawal based on a rumor. What evidence do we have that actually, as we are opening, Kenya and Tanzania are closing? I think it's important to have those facts for a man like me who has no information to appreciate. I thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I sit in Committee of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And in one of the meetings that we had in Tanzania with the able leadership of Honorable Avu, one of the issues we handled with them was that they were really not concerned about the East African issues. For them, Tanzania first. So when the Honorable Sabe is talking, I think he is right. Because I personally attended a meeting where in Tanzania, they told us, no, you might have your East Africa things, but for us, it is Tanzania first. Maybe if she can reinforce that issue is good. Thank you.
Honorable members, the withdrawal of bills is in Rule 140 of our rules of procedure, and I'm going to ask a question. If
Madam Speaker.
I am,
Proceed.
don't speak on what is not going to be there. Will you force the owner of the bill to continue? I am going to put a question. Those in favor of withdrawal of the bill,
Madam Speaker,
I want to put a question that those in favor of withdraw the bill, say aye and the contrary nay.
We are voting when we are reading
Procedure.
We are voting in East African country. We have.
Procedure.
Item 6.
The ayes have it and the bill stands withdrawn. Next item.
Item 6, motion for reconsideration of the Competition Bill 2023
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
as returned by His Excellency the President in accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and Rule 143 of the Rules of Procedure.
Speaker. Procedure. Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Aburu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The procedural point I stand here is to clear what my honorable brother, Honorable Akol Anthony, just stated on the floor. Indeed, about February or October last year, I led a delegation on a benchmark on the local content to the Republic of Tanzania. While we were meeting, the Tanzanians wished us well in the bid, in our process of coming up with a law on local content. And I'm on procedure, doesn't require order. And what they stated was that for them, they do not have any law on local content. However, when they are negotiating any project, any loan, any grant.
What is the procedural matter you're raising?
Yes, the procedural matter is that it is not true that the Tanzanians say for them they do not. Yes, I want to clear the air because my name was mentioned. Members, you should learn to listen. I have to clear
Honorable
the air. My name
members.
was mentioned.
Honorable members, can you all listen? Sit. Honorable members. Next item. Next item. Honorable members, as you may recall, the competitions bill was passed by this House on 26th May 2023 and transmitted to the President for assent in furtherance to Article 91(1) of the Constitution of Uganda. The President revoked Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and returned the bill for reconsideration by this House through a letter dated 24th July 2023. The bill was referred to the Committee of Trade and Tourism, Trade and Industry for reconsideration pursuant to Rule 143(2) of the Rules of Procedure. The committee has now considered the bill and is ready. Can we have the minister move a motion in furtherance to Rule 143(3) of the Rules of Procedure?
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to move that the Competition Bill 2023 be reconsidered.
Seconded. Is the bill seconded? I'm surprised even you ministers cannot support your bill. It is a government bill and you're just seated there. Seconded by Professor Mushemesa, by Honorable Militon, by Honorable Mutembule, Eric Luta, Honorable Luta, Luta Maguzi, Prime Minister, Government Chief Whip, by local government, water, Honorable Nandutu, and all the NRM side. Thank you. Would you love to speak to your motion?
Madam Speaker, we did present this bill to this House, and it was passed with one amendment. And amendment, which was contrary to what we had moved, was this. Originally, we had proposed that this competition, in the implementation of the competition law, be done by the ministry under a department or a committee established under the ministry. In the wisdom of the committee, they proposed under clause 4 that we should form the authority. And His Excellency the President, which is now the position of cabinet, we think because of two reasons. The first reason, we are in the process of rationalization of agencies in government. The second reason, this being a government bill, Parliament could not move under Article 93A(2) because that will raise the charge on the consolidated fund. And that's the reason why this bill was returned to this House. I'm just here to confirm to you that the ministry will establish a committee to overlook the implementation of this law if passed by Parliament, and we have our confidence and commitment, and therefore the bill was returned to be for consideration, and I beg the House to support the position of His Excellency the President.
Honorable Minister, you said this House could not proceed on Article 93. That puts a charge on a consolidated fund. But this bill is government bill. It's not a private member's bill.
Yeah, in the wisdom or the opinion of the Attorney General, the amendment of establishing authority originated from the committee, not government. The government position was to have a committee under the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. That was the position of government. That was the original bill. But the committee introduced a clause 4, to establish an authority, which in the opinion of the Attorney General, advising His Excellency the President, that raises a charge on the consolidated fund. And he thought that the mandate of that could only lie within the executive, not the committee.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, can we now hear from you? Can you present your report?
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay on table the report of the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the reconsideration of the Competition Bill 2022 as returned by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. I beg to lay. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on table the minutes of the meetings held on the competition bill as returned by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable
lay.
colleagues. I now proceed to read the report of the committee on the reconsideration of the bill as returned by the President. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the competition bill was passed by Parliament on Thursday, 26 May 2023, and presented for assent to the President under Article 91(2) of the 1995 Constitution. And in a letter dated 24th July 2023, the President returned the bill to Parliament under Article 91(3)(b) of the 1995 Constitution for reconsideration of Clause 4 of the bill. Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, on Tuesday, 15th of August 2023, the competition bill as returned by His Excellency the President was referred to the Committee of Trade, Tourism and Industry for reconsideration in accordance with Rule 143 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. In line with Rule 143, Sub-Rule 2 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, the committee reconsidered the competition bill as returned by the President and now reports. The background, Madam Speaker and honorable members. Article 21 of the Protocol on the establishment of the East African Customs Union provides for requirement by partner states to prohibit any practice that adversely affects free trade, including any agreement, undertaking, or concerted practice which has as its objective or effect the prevention, restriction, or distortion of competition within the EAC. As such, the East African Community has a vision to promote economic integration through ensuring that there is fair competition. Honorable members, and all the member states are obliged to adopt individual practices and laws pertaining to achieving the above vision. The enactment of a competition law in Uganda is key in realization of the said vision, since other member states, including Kenya and Tanzania, have competition laws, while Rwanda has in place Rwanda Inspectorate Competition and Consumer Protection Authority. Madam Speaker and honorable members, for regional integration, market surveillance in the East African Community is buttressed by Section 6 of the EAC Standardization, Quality Assurance, Metrology and Testing Act, Regulation 2013, that are intended to enhance the operationalization of the EAC Standardization, Quality Assurance, Metrology and Testing Act 2006. It is on this basis that the competition bill was formulated. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, committee observations and recommendations on the concerns of the President about the competition bill as returned by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda. Concerns of the President. In his letter 24th July 2023, His Excellency the President requests that Parliament reconsiders Clause 4 of the bill as passed by Parliament. Clause 4 of the competition bill as passed by Parliament establishes the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. The President opined that the competition bill was introduced by the executive and initially provided for the bill to be administered by the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Cooperatives. Madam Speaker and colleagues, the President further stated that the justification for having the bill administered by the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Cooperative instead of a commission is to comply with government policy on rationalization, where government has frozen the establishment of statutory bodies. In addition, the President opined that the establishment of the commission by Parliament is contrary to Article 93A(2) of the 1995 Constitution, which prohibits Parliament from proceeding on a bill or an amendment unless it is done on behalf of government, which imposes a charge on the consolidated fund or other public funds of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the committee observation on government policy on rationalization is as follows. In the letter of the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Excellency the President noted that Parliament's proposal to establish the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is contrary to the government policy on rationalization and government agencies. In a statement on rationalization of government agencies by Honorable Wilson Muruli, Minister of Public Service, presented to Parliament on the 11th August 2021, the minister stated that the main objective of rationalization policy is to eliminate structural and functional duplication and overlaps, wasteful expenditures, and realize resultant short-term and long-term savings. Madam Speaker and colleagues, it was the minister's submission that out of 157 government agencies which were reviewed under the rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure exercise of 2018, a decision was taken to merge, mainstream, and transfer the functions of 77 agencies and 80 to be retained. That since then, 8 of the institutions have been fully privatized, bringing the number of institutions to be merged, mainstreamed, and transferred to 69. Honorable colleagues, the committee established that the principles for the competition bill were approved by cabinet over 10 years ago with a view to establish an authority for consumer protection and competition. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the bill, however, stalled, and now at the time of its consideration, there is rationalization policy offing. Notwithstanding the rationalization policy of Uganda, the committee is cognizant of the fact that over 80 agencies shall remain in place due to the distinguishable and prominent mandate of such agencies. These include the URA. This is a clear indication that there are exceptions to the rationalization policy, Madam Speaker and honorable members. It is the committee's convinced opinion that the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, if established as passed by Parliament, qualifies to constitute the 80 agencies that will not be affected by the rationalization policy of government. Madam Speaker and honorable members, majority of the stakeholders that made an input into this bill before the committee were of the view that a competent and independent agency would be best placed to implement matters of competition and consumer protection, and is the only means of building and sustaining a competition regime supported by a high level of institutional trust. The committee strongly agreed with the stakeholders that indeed it is the only way of ensuring that trade regulation is effective and efficient for competitiveness. Whereas the committee is aware that the government policy of rationalization is a means of effective governance and reduction of government spending, Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, the proposal for a Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is a matter of ensuring service delivery, effective governance, and increment on the non-tax revenue base. The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is a self-financing establishment and therefore in line with the objectives of government policy on rationalization. It is the considered opinion of the committee that the government's use of the rationalization policy as a justification not to establish the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, as was envisaged from the onset, is misconceived and anticipatory, Madam Speaker and colleagues. In the opinion of the committee, the proposal for an independent Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is distinguishable and calls for deliberate and specific consideration for exemption from the general application of the rationalization policy of Uganda. While considering the bill, several and majority of the stakeholders that interfaced with the committee warned that issues of competition and consumer protection are cross-cutting in all sectors of the economy. As such, implementation of the law and under the Ministry of Trade would amount to making the Minister of Trade an overall regulator for all sectors of the economy on matters of competition and consumer protection. The minister responsible for trade would be highly conflicted and not in position to effectively implement the law, especially given the fact that Parliament amended the initial competition bill to include all economic activity without providing exemptions to government. Madam Speaker and honorable members, Finally, an independent and autonomous establishment is required and envisaged to accord confidence to the entire economy, including investors. This importance should outweigh the government plan to rationalize. A complainant should approach the competent authority on competition and consumer protection matters, expecting competent outcome without a taint of bias. The ministry responsible for trade, industry, and cooperative cannot be such a competent authority since government is also regulated under the Competition Act. It will be challenging and ineffective for the ministry responsible for trade to consider complaints lodged against the government of Uganda, of which the ministry is part. Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, lack of capacity by the Ministry of Trade to implement the law. His Excellency the President is of the view that matters of competition and consumer protection should be administered by the ministry responsible for trade, assisted by a technical committee on competition and consumer protection. The technical committee is to be constituted by the minister responsible for trade, honorable members, by a statutory instrument and shall be comprised of persons knowledgeable in competition and consumer matters from ministries, departments, and agencies of government, the private sector, and academia. Madam Speaker and the Honorable August House, the implementation mandate of matters on competition and consumer protection is not only wide, but also cross-cutting across all the sectors of the economy. The committee finds that the Ministry of Trade, assisted by a technical committee composed of persons from other MDAs, does not provide a sufficiently corresponding structure that will guarantee adequate redress to matters of competition and consumer protection. Initially, the bill exempted government from the application of the law on competition. Parliament, in its wisdom, passed the competition bill without exemptions. In its current form, as returned by His Excellency the President, the bill applies to all anti-competitive practices and agreements, abuse of dominant positions, and effects of mergers, acquisitions, and joint ventures on competition. The committee, therefore, Right Honorable Speaker and the House, finds that the proposal of His Excellency the President to have the bill administered under the Ministry of Trade is no longer tenable since the bill also applies to government. The provision is likely to lead to conflict of government agencies, with the ministry arising out of conflict of mandates stemming from the different statutes that establish the agencies and the application of the law to government. Madam Speaker and the House, to ensure that regulation of competition matters is effective, there is need to have a competent authority that effectively discharges its duties without a taint of bias. The committee observes that all neighboring countries where competition laws have greatly developed have an independent authority in place. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in the East African bloc, Kenya has the Competition Authority of Kenya under its Competition Act number 12/2010. Tanzania has a Fair Competition Commission under its Fair Competition Act number 8/2003. And Rwanda has the Rwanda Competition and Inspectorate Authority under its law number 36/2012 relating to competition and consumer protection. The committee carried out a study visit to Zambia to learn the practices in regards to the competition law. The committee established that, having initially administered matters of competition under the ministry responsible for trade, Zambia amended its Competition Act in 2010 to establish the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission and Tribunal. Madam Speaker and the August House, the committee notes there is no need for Uganda to start the journey of regulation of competition and consumer protection matters from a tried and failed position. Parliament of Uganda should enact laws that will stand to serve today and for future generations to come, Madam Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and the August House, the committee further notes that the bill provides that the Technical Committee on Competition and Consumer Protection shall be constituted by the minister by statutory instrument. The statutory instrument under this provision shall provide for the appointment
composition, functions, meetings, and remuneration of the technical committee, Madam Speaker, and the House. The committee observes that this may be compromising for the committee and will definitely affect the independence of the technical committee, since the same minister who is to constitute the committee is to be advised by the same committee. In line with the best practice arising from a study of different countries that have implemented legislative frameworks on competition and consumer protection, an independent self-financing commission should be created to oversee competition matters. This is premised on the fact that competition matters are cross-cutting, and as such, there is need for an autonomous institution that has specialized persons to handle all competition matters. Therefore, the administration of the Act should be carried out by a specialized and independent commission that ensures that trade regulation is effective and efficient. Global experience has demonstrated that independence, objectivity, and impartiality are key elements of properly functioning and effective competition law regime. The absence of a specialized independent body in administering and enforcing the legislative framework on competition and consumer protection would reduce public confidence and therefore its credibility and effectiveness. Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, it is the submission of the committee on Article 93A(2) of the 1995 Constitution that the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is self-financing. In his letter, the President notes that the establishment of Competition and Consumer Protection Commission affronts Article 93A(2) of the 1995 Constitution. It is the committee's considered opinion that Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is a self-sustaining agency which will contribute immensely to the consolidated fund through merger filing fees, fines, and penalties, both at common market for Eastern and Southern Africa, in East African community, and nationally within Uganda. Article 93A, but 2 of the 1995 Constitution provides for restriction of financial matters as follows. Parliament shall not, unless the bill or the motion is introduced on behalf of the government, proceed upon a bill including an amendment bill that makes provision for the imposition of a charge on the consolidated fund or other public fund of Uganda, or the alteration of any such charge otherwise than by reduction. The committee established that the COMESA rules on COMESA revenue sharing of merger filing fees envisages the establishment of a competition authority commissioned by each member state to which any money is due to member states is remitted. According to Rule 8 of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, rules on COMESA revenue sharing of merger filing fees, the Commission retains 50% of the common market merger filing fees and is supposed to distribute the remaining 50% among the relevant competition authority in the designated member states, as attached in Annex A. The share of the common market merger filing fees for each relevant competition authority in the designated member state is supposed to be proportionate to the value of turnover that since 2013, when the COMESA Commission was established, Uganda as a member state has not claimed its entitlement under the revenue of COMESA revenue sharing of merger filing fees. To this effect, Uganda is now owed approximately $1.5 million. The committee is also privy to the fact that the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives is in the process of undertaking a memorandum of understanding with COMESA as an implementing agency on competition and consumer protection on behalf of the government of Uganda to claim the merger filing fees due to the Republic of Uganda. It is the committee's considered opinion that the accumulated merger filing fees due to the Republic of Uganda would go a long way in establishing the establishment of the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Consequently, Madam Speaker and the August House, the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission will be self-financing through merger filing fees, fines, and penalties, among other funds, both at the level of the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa, as well as at the national level. This will also be a much needed recognizable contribution to the consolidated fund. It is the string opinion of the committee that the establishment therefore does not impose a charge on the consolidated fund and does not affront Article 93A2 of the 1995 Constitution, but instead seeks to expand the revenue base through non-tax revenue. Conclusion, Madam Speaker and the August House, the committee therefore reiterates its earlier position and beseeches Parliament to approve the establishment of the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission of Uganda as earlier on passed by this August House. Madam Speaker and the August House, recommendation of the committee. The committee recommends that Parliament passes the competition bill as returned by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda without amendment. I beg to move, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Just a quick one. How do you cure in your report of seen Article 93A2? How do you cure Article 93A2? How has the committee cured it?
Madam Speaker, Article 93A on charges on the consolidated fund. When you look at the composition, when you look at the committee position on establishment of the commission, the committee has established a commission which is raising revenue to government, self-financing commission, and the committee has provided for merger fees, fines, penalties, which increases non-tax revenue to government. And this will contribute to, increasing on revenue to government instead of spending on one side, Madam Speaker.
That is an accountant's explanation. Can I have a legal explanation? That is an accounting explanation. Can I have a legal explanation on 93A2?
Right on, Speaker, I want to thank you. Right on, Speaker, when we were debating this bill here, I think we were in agreement.
Before Basalura comes in, the issue of rationalization should not be an issue because we will be debating in an special. This House has rejected that thing of rationalization. We will not buy that. And what is left now that we should handle is 93A2.
Right on, Speaker, thank you very much. On the issue of Article 93, I have listened to the report. And the bigger argument is that the commission will be self-financing. I think that's the statement they used. Unfortunately, the framers of the Constitution didn't envisage that. In fact, the framers of the Constitution were of the opinion that whether you are in position to get monies to fund any process, as long as there is an implication on the consolidated fund, the hands are tied. So I want to agree with the presentation of the minister that we are bad. We are constitutionally bad from proceeding on this matter on the aspect of, on the account of Article 93. But I want to persuade the minister. I want to persuade the minister to consider seriously buying the proposal by the committee, because you are going into competition. It is very obvious you are going into competition, and you will definitely, as government, and you will definitely be conflicted. There is no way you are going to have that committee in a ministry, and yet government will be in business, in competition. So I want to plead with you that you consider introducing an amendment, you yourselves, to have this commission. I want to plead with you because the committee has given very good justification as to why we should have a consumer protection commission. The committee has also given experiences elsewhere. They have talked about what's happening in Zambia, in Tanzania, in Rwanda. So we should really not be left out on as far as this matter is concerned. In fact, this being a government bill, it can only make sense, it can only be logical if we created an independent commission. Otherwise, in the absence of that commission, this will be a hollow piece of legislation. So I want to beg you, I want to persuade you that you yourselves consider bringing that amendment. Otherwise, on this matter, we are constitutionally bad.
Honorable members, on this matter, we are constitutionally bad. Now, what we are asking the minister is to bring an amendment that could, that creates a commission. Yes, John.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I wanted to add to the Honorable Salirwa's voice. Legally speaking, we do not have any escape point. We are laying a charge on the consolidated fund, and the framers of the Constitution did not have any anticipatory provision in the Constitution. What we are talking about of generating revenue by the Commission is speculation. And until we are there, the Constitution bars us. And legally speaking, we are out of context. But I also, the minister seems to have bought into the idea of reconsidering the bill to provide a commission internally after this position. And I would like to implore him to do that. Thank you.
Minister, I want your commitment that you'll bring an amendment. No. Which law school did you go to? Minister, I want your commitment.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. I want to thank the Honorable Basalwa for your opinion. And indeed, you are very useful to the House, especially in the absence of Attorney General. I want to say that once this has been passed and it is there and assented to, then after consultations, we can consider bringing the amendment. Yeah, because
Honorable members, this report is self-explanatory. We have only one amendment. And in this one amendment, I now put a question. I put a question.
So we check out the commission for now. It is definitely deliberated. Oh, girl, Kenny. Kenny, I now know if I need to deploy girls in the jungle. You've got some good skills. From where you've got some skills.
But I'll be coming to your point. I need to get some skills.
Honorable members, I put a question that the competitions bill as returned 2023 as returned by the President. His Excellency the President, in accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution and Rule 143 of the Rules of Procedure, be considered by this House. Those in favor say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
The Competition Bill 2023 as returned by His Excellency the President, Bills Committee stage. Clause 4.
Honorable Chair,
I should do that. And I still have issues with that provision. It's highly contentious. Yeah. Thank you, dear. It's very contentious. We expect that they will shoot it down big time. If they come back in the state that
Madam Chair, I want to reinstate what was in the original bill, the competition bill 2022, clause 3. The act shall be administered by the ministry responsible for trade. Clause 4, the functions of the ministry. The functions of the ministry in the administration of this act are to promote and sustain fair competition in the market, to protect the interests of consumers in the market, to monitor the market for uncompetitive and unfair practices and agreements, to investigate uncompetitive and unfair practices and agreements in the market, to approve mergers, acquisitions, joint ventures, which have no adverse effect on competition in the market, to hear and determine complaints in respect of competition and consumer protection matters, to protect consumers and implement the law relating to consumer protection, to develop appropriate procedures for consultation and public sensitization on competition and consumer protection matters, to collect data and undertake studies and publish reports relating to competition and consumer protection, to liaise with other authorities responsible for competition and consumer protection at regional and international, and perform such duties which are necessary for the discharge of his functions under this act. Madam Chair, the original bill also had clause 5, 6, and 7, which relate to establishment of the committee that will govern the implementation of this act. And I want to seek your permission that I can continue and read through all of them at a go. So that was clause 4. But because of clause 4, we have got also to consider clause 5, 6, and 7. So I beg that I read clause 5. Reference of competition matters to the ministry in certain cases, where in the course of any proceedings before any statutory authority or body with the responsibility of regulating the provision of any utility or service, a party alleges that the decision taken or proposed to be taken by a statutory authority or body is likely to affect competition in the market. The statutory authority or body shall refer the matter to the ministry. 2, on receipt of reference under subsection 1, the ministry shall, after hearing the parties to the proceedings, give its opinion to the statutory authority or body, which shall decide the matter after taking into account the opinion of the ministry. Where a reference is made to the ministry under this section, the statutory authority or body concerned shall not make any final order until the ministry offers its opinion. 6, Technical Committee on Competition and Consumer Protection. 161, to assist the ministry to properly perform the functions specified under subsection 1, there shall be established in the ministry a technical committee on competition and consumer protection. The technical committee shall provide technical guidance and advice the ministry on implementation of the policy and the laws relating to competition and consumer protection. The minister shall by statutory instrument provide the appointment, composition, functions, meetings, and remuneration of the technical committee referred to in subsection 2. Without prejudice, the subsection 4, the technical committee shall comprise persons knowledgeable in competition and consumer matters from ministries, departments, agencies of government, the private sector, and academia. The powers of the ministry. In performance functions specified in section 4, the ministry may, after consultation with the technical committee, direct an enterprise to cease and desist from any uncompetitive practice. Order determination or notification, as the case may require, of any agreement, conduct, activity, practice, or decision prohibited by this act. B, take any reasonable action which may be necessary in furtherance of its function. And finally, C, shall for the practical cooperate with anybody established under the treaty for the establishment of the East African Community Treaty, the treaty establishing the common market for East Africa and South Africa, COMESA, or any other law to promote and regulate our competition. Madam Chair, this was the original proposition by government, and this is a proposition His Excellency the President would want this House to consider. I beg to move.
Thank you. That is a change of part 2 of the bill. Honorable Chair.
Madam Speaker, and the August House, since the House has taken a decision already on that clause, that's on the position that you consulted on the legal guidance on, Right Honorable Speaker, on the clause as was read by the Minister, I concede on behalf of the committee.
Thank you. I put a question that part 2 of the bill be substituted with a new bill that has been read by the Minister. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Part 2 as amended.
I put a question that part 2 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Motion for resumption of the House.
Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, I also need you to make a commitment that you bring an amendment to this House to introduce an authority. We are only incapacitated because of Article 93A2, not on the issue of rationalization. Yes, let's first get back to committee. Let's first have resumption of the House.
Madam Chairperson, I beg to.
Let's first resume the House.
That the House do resume and the committee of the whole House reports there too.
I put a question that the House does resume and the committee of the whole House reports there too. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has reconsidered the bill entitled the Competition Bill 2022 and passed clause 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7, and refreshed part 2. Thank you.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report from the Committee of the Whole House be adopted.
I put a question that the House adopts the report of the Committee of the Whole House. Those in favor sign the contrary nay. By the way, before we started this, I confirmed we had 188 members of parliament, 156. You've come in. Now you've added. I had 156 virtually, and then the others were online. Yes.
Bills, third reading.
I had 188. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Competition Bill 22 be read the third time and do pass.
I put a question that the Competition Bill 2023 as returned by His Excellency the President be read the third time and do pass. Those in favor say aye and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act titled the Competition Act 2023.
Bill passed and title settled. The House is adjourned to 2 on Tuesday.
Like that, we don't miss saying something.